students. Today's topic is anatomy and physiology of palatine tonsil. Let's discuss this quickly. What is a tonsil? It is a large lymphoid tissue situated in the lateral wall of oropharynx. It has got two surfaces, medial and lateral, two borders, anterior and posterior, and two poles, upper and lower. On the lateralmost surface, there is a tonsillar capsule. It is made up of pharyngobasilar fascia. This capsule is attached to the muscle, that is superior constrictor and styloglossus muscle. So here it is a handmade rough diagram of anatomy of palatine tonsil. Ideally, it should be a 3D picture, but here only we can understand in a 2D plane. So anteriorly there is a muscle that is known as palatoglossus, also known as anterior pillar, and posteriorly there is a muscle that is palatopharyngeus that forms the posterior pillar. So on the upper side there is soft palate and on the lower side there is tongue, and in between these two pillars, that is anterior pillar and posterior pillar, there is situated that is palatine tonsil. Now coming to the structure of the tonsil, on the medial surface there are many tonsillar crypts, approximately 10 to 12 in number. The lumen of tonsillar crypts contain epithelial cells and lymphocytes. The largest crypt is the intertonsillar cleft, and as we have already discussed from the previous diagram, the tonsil lies in the tonsillar fossa that is formed by the space between palatoglossus and palatopharyngeus muscles. And the palatine tonsil achieves its maximum size by the age of 4 to 5 years. So coming to another very important structure, that is tonsillar bed. Many times short note comes in the exams, like write about the anatomy of the tonsillar bed in brief. So it is formed by so many things. We will see them one by one. Lateralmost structure is fibrous capsule. Then lies the pharyngobasilar fascia. Then lies the superior constrictor muscle. Then buccopharyngeal fascia, ninth nerve, and most medially there is internal carotid artery that lies just approximately 1 inch lateral to the tonsil. So here it is, another handmade, not that good diagram of tonsillar bed. Here we can see the tonsil, and there is fibrous capsule that is marked in deep red color. After that there is palatine vein. Then we can see buccopharyngeal fascia, pharyngobasilar fascia, and in between there is superior constrictor muscle. There is also ninth cranial nerve we can see, and forming the anterior pillar there is palatoglossus muscle and palatopharyngeus muscle forming the posterior pillar. There are various tonsillar crypts are visible, which act as the germinating center of various lymphocytes and B cell, providing immunity to our body. Now coming to the anatomy of another important structure, that is tonsillar fossa. Boundaries are very important. Anteriorly it is formed by palatoglossus muscle, that is known as anterior pillar. Posteriorly formed by palatopharyngeus muscle, that is posterior pillar. Superiorly there is soft palate, and inferiorly there is tongue. We have already seen all these structure in our previous handmade diagrams. So now coming to the most important topic of this whole presentation, that is blood supply of the tonsil. It is a very important question from the exam point of view also. So what is the main artery that supplies the tonsil? That is tonsillar branch of facial artery. There are 4 to 5 vessels that supply to the tonsil, out of which you have to remember, if there is option that you have to remember only one. So please remember that is tonsillar branch of facial artery. It is the main artery that supplies the tonsil. Other branches are ascending palatine artery, that is branch of facial artery; ascending pharyngeal artery, that is branch of external carotid artery; descending palatine artery, again that is branch of maxillary artery; and dorsal lingual artery, that is branch of lingual artery. So these are the important arteries supplying to the tonsil. All of these are important, but if you have to remember only one or two, then please remember tonsillar branch of facial artery, that is the main arterial supply, and ascending palatine artery, that is branch of facial artery. Now coming to the venous drainage, there is a thick vein that enters into the tonsil from its lateral surface, that is known as paratonsillar vein. So that is the main vein responsible for the venous drainage, that is known as paratonsillar vein. So again here it is a very rough handmade simplified diagram to understand the blood supply of tonsil. So there is a single large trunk on the lateral side of the tonsil, as you all can see, that is external carotid artery. From this external carotid artery there are various branches of arteries that are arising. Important one is facial artery, and facial artery gives a main branch, that is tonsillar artery, which is highlighted in the dark red branch. That is the main branch to the tonsil. Apart from that, there are also maxillary artery, which is supplying the descending palatine artery, and ascending pharyngeal artery, ascending palatine artery is also there. So all these are vessels that supply the tonsil. Now coming to the lymphatic drainage part of the tonsil, tonsils are secondary lymphoid organ. The main lymph node responsible for the drainage are jugular-digastric lymph node, that is also known as lymph node of Woods, and upper deep cervical lymph node. Coming to the nerve supply, tonsils get supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve and lesser palatine nerve. Now coming to the function of tonsil, as we all know, tonsils are secondary lymphoid organ. It is basically a B cell producing organ. So it is predominantly involved in immunoglobulin production regulation that provides immunity to our body. Basically what happens on antigenic exposure, antibodies or immunoglobulins are produced such as IgG and IgA. So B cell gets proliferated in response to the antigenic stimulation and they produce the immunoglobulins. Tonsils also protect the upper airways from various infective organisms. So that was all about the anatomy and physiology of the tonsil. There are few important topics in this presentation such as tonsillar bed anatomy and blood supply of tonsil. Please go through them and wish you all the best for your exams. Thank you.